and welcome to Everything EFL. This week we are talking about pronunciation, and you're probably going to need a pen and paper for this. We are going to use some visuals, but this will be recorded and put on my YouTube channel, which is called EFL with Erin. You'll find all the links on the show notes as well, or in the Instagram bio of mine. So any other materials as well will be put on the show notes for the podcast. So to help me with this episode is a fabulous woman who is going to give an online perspective to my ideas and also give some ideas of her own. And she is the one and only Sinead McMorrow. Hi, Sinead.
Hi, Erin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Surviving lockdown.
Good stuff. Sinead is in Sicily and I'm in Ireland, so we're Zooming. Can you just give everyone a brief explanation of who you are?
Oh, if I knew that answer. I've been teaching English for the last 15 years or so, and I've been in Palermo, as you say, in Sicily for the last 11 years actually, and for the last 3 years I've moved into the world of CLIL, so lots of biology teaching, maths teaching, and adding geography teaching to my bow this year. But so really interested to be talking about pronunciation today, because obviously that is really important in every aspect of language learning, and not just language learning, all learning.
Well said. So your background is essentially in EFL, and you probably haven't had a chance to do a lot of pronunciation with your CLIL students, have you, or have you?
I do try to fit it in when I can, but the problem is trying to get the productive stuff going. Yeah, we do more receptive stuff really, but better than nothing. Okay, so let's just crack on. So we're going to be talking about producing individual sounds within the context of minimal pairs today, and we're going to be talking about sort of 3 stages that you can go through and some different activities you can use to do this. So Sinead, what would your definition of minimal pairs be? So when we're talking about individual sounds, we usually think of 2 words that are the same, but they differ only in one sound. So often that's also a spelling difference. Oh, look, Erin's got some examples there. They're difficult for me though. The one on the left, on my left, is hot, and the one on the right, hat. That's it. Very good. Was that right? It was, yes. I find that sound really hard. Okay, well, it's funny you should say that. I'm going to dive straight into how you can show your students the difference. So basically, we're going to be talking about 3 stages of teaching a student how to produce a sound. So the first stage is articulation, the second one is recognition, and the third one is production. Now, you can do all 3 stages with these activities in one class if you have time, or maybe you could do it over the course of 3 lessons or a week or something like that. And you can also use these for review at any time as well, so they're quite good. So let's dive into stage 1, articulation. So this is where the students learn the mechanics of the sound, but I think when you're teaching online, which you are, I think you've got to think about which sounds would work and which ones wouldn't online, because there's going to be some distortion, isn't there? So what ones do you think might not work? Yeah, I mean, luckily in Italy, students tend not to have massive problems with consonant sounds. And I think they're the ones that are obviously the ones that are going to be irksome, let's say. Yeah. But maybe all those TH sounds are kind of difficult for the Italians, the. Yeah. And those are actually sounds that don't come across very well online if you're kind of vibrating too much or sticking your tongue through your teeth and you spit all over the place. So those that can be difficult. Yeah, and things like ch, ch and j, like job, things like that. Maybe even t and d, like tad and dad. These kinds of a little bit of distortion, but vowel sounds I think would be really good. Nice and easy, because it's all just the shape of the mouth. You can demonstrate it really easily over Zoom. There are some good, I think there are some good consonant sounds like P and B, SH, sh and Z,
F and V, R and L, G and K, W, Y, those kinds of ones I think you could probably get away with.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you want to add any more to that list?
Yeah, no, maybe the je and sh as well.
Yeah.
That kind of can be difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. Okay, so this part, the articulation can be quite good fun because you can sort of dive in, make a fool of yourself, and you can have a real laugh with this. And this is what I love about pronunciation. Like, students tend to be quite embarrassed, don't they, sometimes? But if you just kind of dive in feet first and they can see you making a fool of yourself, then I think they're more likely to relax and laugh and give it a go. What do you think?
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's that whole thing about hamming it up as well, that if you kind of overdo it in the classroom, that when they take it outside into the real world, it will actually come out a bit more normal.
Yeah, I think so.
That bit of exaggeration is good in the classroom.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, okay, let's start with the a and sound. So we're talking about hat as in hat on your head, and hut as in a little wooden shed thing. So I usually do the sound first. And what I generally tend to say to students is just open your mouth, kind of drop your jaw, and make sure like your tongue is near the bottom of your mouth, so you've got a nice big space, and then just say so you're dropping your jaw. And then I say, if you're going to do the sound like hat or apple, the best thing to do is do the same sound as you would with so open your mouth that way again, but smile a little bit, but not through the nose, through the mouth.
Am I too nasal?
Just a little. But I appreciate the effort. Oh, you do, don't you? You and your hay fever.
Yeah. Okay.
So what other sounds do you have little techniques and tricks for?
Yeah, you know, the typical, the short I and the long E sound.
Yeah.
We were saying often in European speakers will have some kind of in-between sound that they make, and it's not quite I and it's not quite E.
Yeah.
So it sounds a bit odd. And again, the same kind of thing. What I tend to do is I just use my fingers beside my mouth. So the classic example, the ship. Okay, you can see my mouth is not moving beyond my fingers, ship. But if I talk about the animal, the sheep.
Move your fingers outwards.
So my fingers move out. And I tell them again that thing about smiling as well. So smile when you see a sheep. They're cute, so smile. So
I tend to do something
so that, again,
similar.
that visual.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be visual. So what I would do is put my hands together, palms together like a prayer, and say I. And again, like focus on my mouth, like it's not moving. I'm not smiling. I'm just saying I. And then I would open my hands so they kind of look like bookends and go E, and then shut them really quickly, E, and then open them, E. So like I'm playing an accordion almost. So they've got that kind of visual thing to follow with their eyes as well as producing it. Anything else?
Yeah, lovely. Another problem actually Italians have is with the O sound, which is a really easy one to model, just making that like the shape of the letter O with your mouth. But they do really struggle with it. So we do a lot of that kind of just O.
Do they tend to say oh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of nationalities do that. Yeah. I tend to try and associate that with sounds like particular words like oh no as well. Like a little phrase can sometimes help. Oh no, because it's easy. It's very easy to remember. I like the long sound. So you've got the short which is the schwa, and then you've got the long sound. And I usually say to them, you know, imagine there's something horrible on the table, like a pile of dog poo or, you know, your least favorite food, and you go, yeah, exactly, something like that. So again, they're associating it with a certain motion, a certain action. And another good one that works for that is the R. Like I'd sort of put my my fingers to my lips and then go like that, you know, like a little tune.
Okay, yeah, I know. I do banging my elbow. Ow.
Ow. Yeah. Shake your hand. Ow. Yeah, exactly.
Ow.
And what about the dreaded TH?
Yeah. there is a lot of spitting. That's all I can say. Yeah. I don't know. You know what? Being from Ireland, it's not really. I kind of let them away with it because, you know, we do it. We just use the t and the d. So unless it's a really, you know, their IELTS prep or something like that, where it's a little bit more high stake, then they really need to try it a bit more. But yeah, I try not to get them, especially nowadays. You can't be spitting on people.
No, absolutely. I tend to contrast it with an S sound. So if you start with the unvoiced th, and you can say, where is your tongue? And they say it has to touch your teeth. And then you say, okay, now say s like a snake. Now where is your tongue? They have to bring the tongue back a little bit so it's behind the teeth but not touching the teeth. And then you get them to do the th sound again, and they have to bring the tongue forward and then bring it back. So just go backwards and forwards and make this motion with your hands. And again, it's just associating the movement with the sound with that physical movement, and getting to contrast the two positions of the tongue in the mouth. So contrasting two sounds. Yeah, exactly. But this is why minimal pairs can be good, because you're contrasting two sounds in slightly different ways, whether it's long, short, voiced or unvoiced. Your tongue is in a slightly different position. So you just got to basically get inventive and you know, think about, how do you make the sound? How did you learn how to make the sound? And just do your best to explain it to your students in a fun way. That's all I can say, really. Yeah.
Telling them to get the mirrors out, looking at their mouths. Yeah, practice on their own.
Okay, let's go on to stage 2, which is recognition. So with this, I generally tend to start with a game where I would make 2 signs like this. Again, one with hat and one with hut. Let's just say we're practicing a and ah again. And I would put them either side of the whiteboard, and I would sit in front of the whiteboard in the middle, and I would ask the students to stand up in front of me. So make a space in front of you at the front of the class. And I would say, okay, I've got a list of words here. So I would print out a list of minimal pairs like batter, butter, cab, cub. And you can drill them if you like, but just let them know that the meaning isn't important. What's important is the sound, because they will always go, what does this mean? What does this mean? And it's like, it's not important at the moment. The important thing is the sound. So drill them so they know what they're listening for, give them a chance, and then say, okay, I'm going to say a word from the list. And if you think the sound has an ah sound, walk to that side of the room where the sign is. If you think it's an sound, walk to the other side of the room where that sign is. And if you're not sure, stay in the middle. So I'd begin by saying a word, for example, fan, and I'd say, look at my mouth, look at me, and repeat the word as well. So they say fan, and then they decide where to move. And some of them will get it wrong. Like, you'd be surprised how difficult they find this. Just because you've taught them how to articulate the sound doesn't mean they can actually recognize it. And this is one thing that I think teachers will find surprising. Have you found that before?
No, totally. Yeah, and it is really hard. You only have to learn another language, or try to learn another language, to realize how hard it is sometimes to hear things that native speakers find just blatantly obvious. Yeah, it's unbelievable, really.
Yeah,
but yeah, it is. It's hard. And they do need the practice. So absolutely. Yeah, I love your game. It's a really great game, but obviously we can't do that nowadays. But I think you just have to keep it physical. So the whole thing is about associating a physical movement with the sound, and kind of getting different parts of your brain working. So I think if we can keep it physical, but even being online, it will still have the same effect. So I think, like what you've got there, you've got your little cards already made. So I would get my students to make the same kind of cards. I would probably display the phoneme as I was teaching them, as we were modeling them, so that they're aware of the phoneme as well, get them to copy those down. And then I'm going to say the words, and you hold up the phoneme that you think matches. So like if I said ran.
Is this the right one?
Yes, that's the right phoneme.
Okay. Excellent. So easy, but interactive, engaging, brilliant. And
it's nice because they can all see each other as well and see what they've chosen.
Good one.
Cute.
Yeah. I would also say that if your students do start getting into the rhythm of it and getting more and more times correct, you can cover your mouth as you say the words as well. And that just adds a little dimension of, oh, we really actually have to listen now. And that can sometimes cause a bit of difficulty, but it also causes a laugh because they realize themselves, oh, not quite there yet, still need a little bit of practice. So that's good.
Yeah.
So once you've done that, that's a really nice, easy way of just practicing that recognition. What you can do then is put your students in pairs. This is in class, obviously. Now, I would make a few of these minimal pairs lists like this. This is like a small one. This is a big one for the video. And I would give a list per pair. And I would say, okay, student A, choose a word, say a word, and the other student, student B, just points to the word. Nice and easy. If they're finding it easy, cover your mouth. So they do that for, say, student A chooses words for 30 seconds and says them, and then they swap, and student B does it for 30 seconds and student A points to them. If they need a bit more practice, leave them to it. I've never had a pair of students who have not been engaged in this and been completely into it. So how could you adapt that for online?
Yeah, obviously we can't point online. But you could, I mean, if you're doing it in an open class situation, the teacher could display those words on the screen so that everybody can see them. I tend to use the Google Suite, the G Suite at the moment, because that's what my school wants me to use. But we can have this interactive whiteboard, which is like a Jamboard. And you could do it as like a kind of board race. So, okay, in that sense, maybe I would be saying the word, or I could nominate a student to say the word, and I could have two teams, and one person from each team could like put a little X or something like that on the word. So that could be a way, but it's still quite open class. If I was to put them into breakout rooms, I'd maybe try to make sure they all have a copy of the words so that they could share their screen. So they could kind of do it that way. They could still kind of see all the words together. One person says them, and if the other person could then write or make some kind of mark beside them, that could be a way.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe you could use if they have their cards like this that you used in the previous activity. Maybe they could just hold up the correct sounds, instead of pointing to the word. If they recognize it's an sound, they could hold the card up. If they recognize it's an at sound, they could hold their card up. Maybe something like that.
Or even dictate the words to them, so they're getting that extra bit of practice. You dictate the words to them, they write them down on their own little bits of cards, and then they can hold the cards up.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, loads of ideas. Brilliant. Okay, so the next stage in production, it's a little bit complicated to explain. So Sinead, I believe you have this and you're going to share it on your screen.
Oh, okay.
And then I will try my best to explain how to play it. Now, the instructions here are very, very important because no, okay, no worries. We are experiencing technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here's something I prepared earlier. Don't worry about it. So guys, if you're just listening, then you could look on Instagram or wait until you get home or whatever, and then like you can see what I'm explaining. But I'm going to just show it on the screen here, and then I'm going to do my best to explain how to actually play it. So let me just write something on each side with my pen. Doing it on the hop. Yeah, okay, so on one side, on my right, I've written the sound on the side of the maze. It's a maze. And on the left, I've written the sound. So basically, I would project this onto the board and do it whole class, first of all. So students all look at number one. I would say to the students, okay, look at number one. Can everybody see number one? Yes, okay. Now, can everybody see the sound on the right? Yes. Can everybody see the sound on the left? Yes.
Yeah.
And then I would say to them, and I'm going to explain the rules, and Sinead's going to try and describe what the students are actually looking at, okay? So start at number one, and I'm going to say a word from my list, and if you think it's an sound, travel right to number two. If you think it's an sound, travel left to number two. And then what do the students see, Sinead?
So that basically from point one, there are two paths. one going right, obviously, and one going left. And I can also see the number 2 at the end of those specific paths.
Okay.
So yeah, so when you say your word, I know I've got to arrive at one of those points.
One of those number 2s. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then I would say, okay, are you looking at your number 2? Okay, I'm going to say another word and you're going to travel to a number 3, either left or right. So let's say I say bat, you travel left, and what can the students see?
So again, from point 2, I've got 2 roads or 2 paths, one going right and one going left. And there's a number 3 at each end.
Yes.
So if I'm going left, I'm going to take the left path and arrive at number 3 on the left.
Okay. And then I'm going to say another word and then students arrive at number 4.
And again, I've got 2 paths, so one right and one left. 2 number 4s, I should arrive at, I don't know, did you say at or up?
I didn't say anything. And then my final word, so I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4, this is my 5th word. And then students arrive at?
Oh, a city, a destination, how fun.
So you begin,
I've got 16 possible destinations.
That's it. So you begin at one point altogether and then you travel to 16 possible destinations, and then you say, which city are you in? And you'll get a lot of different answers basically, but and then we all have a good laugh and we realize it's still not as easy as we think. So what I then tend to do is I give students a copy of that maze, but I put it 6 times on one piece of paper because I'm a bit of a tree hugger and I don't like wasting paper. I usually print it on scrap as well, and I give each student one each, and I tell them, okay, don't show your partner, start at number 1 and draw your own route from number 1 to a city. Don't show your partner, and also write the a and the on each side of the chart as well, on the maze as well. And then when student A is ready, they do exactly the same thing. They take their minimal pairs list that they should have from the previous activity, and they basically do the same thing. They dictate the route using at and up words to their partner. Their partner listens and traces the route, and hopefully end up at have exactly the same route and end up in the same place. And they love it. They absolutely love
it's great fun, and they do get better at it as it goes along. It really works. And I really like this activity because it's one thing that will adapt really easily for online, because as long as you can send a file in some way so that like they have their own journey, really easy. Once they have that file, they can plan their route and put them into breakout rooms, get them into pairs or groups of 3 and get them doing it with each other. And it's great. They can either hold it up to the screen or they can have a digital copy and share their screen, hopefully. So it's brilliant. Yeah.
Okay.
Great fun.
Now, this is from a book called Pronunciation Games by Mark Hancock of Cambridge University Press. Again, I'll put a copy on this on my Instagram when I post this pod, so you'll see it all there. Again, I would encourage students, if student A says bat, I would say it again, bat, bat. And then maybe student B can repeat it, bat, and then make their way up the maze. So again, just constant repetition. It just, helps. All of that helps. But I've never had a failed class with this. Everybody loves it. In fact, I did it with a private student who was 42, and she was just beside herself with excitement. She absolutely loved it.
It's great fun. And again, not being able to travel nowadays, it's just nice to have even this kind of imaginary pronunciation journey where I can end up in Mexico City or Sydney or Cape Town. How exciting.
Yeah. I would probably go to Buenos Aires, I think.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
Or maybe Miami and do a bit of salsa. I don't know. Oh, we can dream.
Oh, there's lots of good destinations there.
Okay, anyway, so basically that is our 3 steps and our activities. Do you have any other activities for minimal pairs that you want to share, Sinead?
I was thinking about, and I'm not sure if this falls into the production stage, maybe you can help me. So you could, again, have words with minimal pairs and ask them to find things Or no, sorry, find things in their room or in their house with those two sounds.
Like if you're in the kitchen, you could find a pan or some butter.
Or butter, yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it. I love it. That's absolutely brilliant because you're engaging with your environment.
Yeah, and then that can spark a lot of discussion as well and get them comparing kind of what they've got. Really nice for international students as well if they're in different countries.
You're a freaking genius.
Yeah.
Anything else?
The other one we were saying is, like you were saying about when you're dictating the words and they had to choose the sounds and then covering your mouth.
Yeah.
You could do the same kind of thing with turning off the with muting yourself. Or get the students to mute themselves. So I mute myself, I say a word, and everybody's got to guess what word I'm saying. And again, obviously it's going to be one of the words from my list of minimal pairs.
Such fun. Such fun.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. Like that'll cause loads of hilarity, most definitely. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Teacher. Yeah. Great.
Perfect for vowel sounds. Brilliant. Okay, thank you, Sinead. That's brilliant. You've been absolutely brilliant, as I knew you would be. So just to remind everyone, everything we've mentioned, the links will be on the show notes, and I will post the pronunciation journey on Instagram. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and follow Everything EFL on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter. Also, I'd love to hear from you if you have any comments on this episode. So please get in contact on said social media sites. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts and Apple. And don't forget to tell your colleagues about us and share the love. Thank you very much, Sinead, and goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Erin. Bye.
Bye.